This is Vickie Harris, and this is Market Movers. Been working in the industry as an agent for 6 years. I had to retire from UAB Hospital first. Once I did that, January 2018, I became an agent. That was my dream to become an agent, and I'm loving it. As far as areas go, I specialize all over Birmingham. I'm a native here. If there is a neighborhood, I have probably lived in it from Trustful to down to 80 to Altadena to a new build in Irondale to Hoover. So I think my expertise also would be historic properties and new builds, which are complete opposite. And that's because my husband and I've had Airbnbs that we've rented out in the Highland Park area, and I've sold a lot in the Highland Park area. So I do understand foundations and electrical things like knob and tube that should not be in a historic home. But then again, also new construction because I built a house in Trustful and we've lived in a new construction recently. Lately, I've been working with first time home buyers, but then again, I will say families and then people my age too that are empty nesters. So across the board, it makes me happy to work with everybody. When my approach to helping buyers is I like to give them a 1 hour consultation either in my brokerage office or at a coffee shop. Give them some coffee, talk about the buying process in about an hour, give them this booklet. And in this booklet, there's one page, and that page is called a buyer's roadmap. And they refer back to that page through the whole process. And the main thing for buyers before we even step foot in a house is to get them pre-approved. I usually refer them to 3 really good lenders that have really good closing and take it from there. As far as sellers go, after I do a listing presentation, the main thing with sellers is know their why. Why do they want to move? Don't treat this like a transaction with those sellers. Treat it as a relationship. Listen to what their goals are and get them the best price for their home in the quickest amount of time. The way I communicate with clients throughout the process is first I ask them, what's the best means of communication? They're busy people, and whatever their means of communication is the way I communicate with them. Although I will say every Monday I'll send a updated email on either the buyer side or the seller side of what's happening, and also usually a lot of text in between if that's the way they like to communicate. A successful transaction that I've had recently it's a feel good transaction is what it is. This spring I've known her about a year. It was a graphic designer that worked downtown. She also, besides her job downtown, she was a deacon in a women's ministry of a downtown church. So her goal was to get out of her rental and to buy a home downtown. And she happened to love historic homes. And so our goal was to get that for her because she needed a large living space to host her small group meetings once a week. She needed a nice kitchen to be able to feed them, and she really desired a front porch. So we found a house she loved downtown, had the front porch, had everything, but we lost to a cash buyer. The next week, I kid you not, there was a house that came up. It was a historic, huge front porch next door to her pastor. She said, if I could just only have this house, I would be able to help him with the foster kids over there. Any overflow from entertainment he's having, she could have at her house. The problem was the house was higher than her budget, but we went after it anyway. So what happened was I went to the listing agent and I called her and I said, look, I know your price is this, but the house has been sitting on the market for a while. The house is going to be used for this purpose. I painted that listing agent to tell the seller what the house was going to be used for. And the seller wanted a very quick closing because she was tired of having that house. She already had moved. So we won, and it was just such a joy to hear that. And we closed with a conventional loan in 16 days. That's why you give someone a good loan officer. And It was just amazing. And one other thing, she said, one more thing, I got to get in that house early because every Easter, that Saturday night, I have a feaster where I serve steak or tofu to everybody. I've got to have it. Well, guess what? She had it. My husband and I were invited, about 40 people all sitting there eating steak or tofu. And we were the older ones there, but it was just such a joy to see that happen. The way I stay informed in the market is I stay in my car all day and I tour houses. And I have these buyers that say, we are so sorry. We've drug you out here and you've showed us all these houses and we don't like any of them. And I say, that is fine. This is a learning moment for me because maybe you don't like this house, but I'm thinking I have other buyers that will. So it literally gives me knowledge of what's going on in the market and also the neighborhoods. The other way I stay informed about the market, besides listening to podcasts and listening to my broker, is to go to agent open houses and listen to what those agents are saying. If you network with agents in different areas of the city, you're going to learn each pocket of those neighborhoods in that market. And that helps me learn a lot is just word of mouth and face to face with fellow agents. For selling a property, the first thing I do is make sure that property is properly cleaned, straightened, if need be, staged. And then I have this wonderful photographer that I believe that still photos should be made with a professional photographer. He does an amazing video and drone. Drones are so important when you have a house that has a view. So you fly that drone up and you see that city view, or you see the lake, you see the pickleball courts, any amenity that's going to help sell that house is important. And then also the trending social media for the neighborhoods. I post that everywhere to market the heck out of that house. Then at my company, we have a wonderful marketing department that makes booklets that are very professionally made that are left in the property that also advertise the house. Timeline for listing a house is usually a coming soon on Tuesday to get everybody all worked up and excited about the house. Let the house become active on a Thursday. According to the National Association of Realtors, Thursday is the #1 day to list a house. If not Thursday, then Friday. And then that same weekend on Sunday, host a Sunday open house and really market that open house. Literally, I go out to the neighborhood and I knock on the doors and I invite the neighbors. And I really love a huge open house. To me, it's like a big party, and it really helps the sellers expose their house. The house is not sold by Sunday, or we don't have any offers by Sunday. Host a agent open house on a Tuesday, a luncheon with all agents involved from all different brokerages in that area. So those are my strategies of selling. The way I determine listing price for a property is I run a comparative market analysis. I have several ways I do it. I try to get homes that have sold in the last 6 months and are on the market and are contingent that are the same type home, same area, same number of bedrooms and baths. I make a booklet. I can make it in a PDF form and I send it to the seller and show the average home price per square foot and just price per size of house. And then I also use other sources that the multiple listing service provides for us, realtor, property resources, and Remine. And I use all three of those sources to price a home. The steps I take for a smooth closing process would be one thing, our office provides paperless pipeline. That is, every document that needs to be in for the closing is put in paperless pipeline. And if I miss something, the compliance email is going to be sent to me. But then I'm also old school about, I have a one sheet page again. I like these one sheet pages, and it's from contract to close, and it has every deadline on that piece of paper. So I use that to set up home inspection, termite inspection, sewer inspection, etc. And also I use Google Calendar, and every deadline that a contract tells us about, I have 2 alarms set. The way I handle negotiations would be to put your ego aside when you're negotiating, because this is not about you. This is about your client, the client's best needs. when I'm going up in a nice negotiation against a fellow agent, the main thing is to never lose your temper, to always be humble, and just always say, it's not what you say, it's what the contract says. It just helps so much. And if you are fair with that other agent and you listen to their needs also, you can compromise and it will work. And the main thing is, remember, when I'm negotiating with a fellow agent, I'll probably be working with them again. Seems in my business, even though there's 5,000 of us or how many, I'm working with the same agents.